Good afternoon and welcome to another round of the Ringfreaks GT3 Premium Championship here on World Sim Series. We're into round two. We've been to Spa and now we've gone to Zandvoort for this Dutch roller coaster on the seaside. The updated circuit to what it is nowadays with the big bankings all around the track, so we'll be sure to give much better racing action as we've got our GT3s out on track. Grantas Karatskas on provisional pole with a lap time identical to Yetzi in P2, so a much closer field this time round. BOP weights on the cars as well, 5 kilos for Mendelis, 10 for Yetzi and 15 for Karatskas. Karatskas in the Lexus once again, and in the BMW is Yetzi. Spef goes quickest in the final sector and goes to just 7 thousandths of a second behind pole position, so very, very tight at the top. Pro-Am being led by Baumann and Am led by Javakshvili. Actually, Balavicius just went to the top, super close to the wall for Baumann as he tries to go for another lap once again. This part of the track very busy, the other part of the track not so much, so finding space crucial here in this qualifying session. It's a much shorter lap than what we had at Spa, and I'm joined as always by Laurinas.
Hello Justas, and good evening everyone. Welcome to this second round of the GT3 Ringfreaks GT3 Championship on World Sim Series. I think it's a very nice track to race on with GT3 cars, but we might have some difficulties with overtakes during the race. That's why the strategy will come into play for the drivers. 1 hour long race with 1 mandatory pit stop. The drivers are not forced to change tires. They can only go into the pit lane, splash 1 liter of fuel and exit. This type of strategy requires the drivers to go slightly slower on the racetrack to save those tires that are wearing pretty much fast, and Baumann is stuck behind a slower driver on his qualifying lap. So the drivers need to look after their tires and try to finish off the race without changing them. We've seen Matas Mendelis succeed in such a strategy 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure if a strategy like this will come into play this evening. Baumann fourth. Yeah, he was fourth. This lap was slightly invalidated. So he stays first in the Pro-Am class and fourth overall. That's Simon Speth. As Gustas already mentioned, is so tight at the front. Only 7 thousandths of a second separate 3 drivers. 0 thousandths of seconds separate the first 2 places. Identical lap times. One of them is slightly quicker. We don't see the exact numbers. We see only 3 digits after the full second, and they are identical. Karatskas has a slightly heavier car, but I'm not sure if it's gonna influence any way the pace of the drivers here on the racetrack, and the heaviest car is the fastest actually, so still drivable, still doable, and Grantas Karatskas will be looking into yet another win.
The weight, I'm sure, is pushing that strategy over to changing tires.
Nope, I think Gustas went somewhere and hid himself. Grantas Karatskas 32.9, so provisional pole position for Grantas Karetska. Simon Speth still on the racetrack. I'm kind of trying to listen and try to hear my colleague Gustas.
I think I'm
Yep, I think you are.
Quicker from Grantas, and that puts him a 10th in front. Obviously a much shorter track, so much smaller gaps in lap time as well. Just a 10th in it at the top. So Simon Speth really the only one that can try and do something here at the end of this qualifying session. He's got a little bit of traffic in front. That's a car that's sitting at P12. And then a car in P10. So if they're quick enough, he might not catch up to them, and maybe we'll get a bit of a draft down the straight. He's fastest in sector 2. Looking at the delta on his dash, about 2/10 up. That might just be enough for pole if he can just get these final few turns together a little bit slower through the right-hander there as he goes through the final turn. 1.5 tenths up on his provisional time so far. Grantas Karetska's fastest in sector 3, not faster in terms of lap time, and Speth does improve. Yep, it is pole position for Simon Speth at the end of the qualifying session, and puts it 0.07 of a second to the good. No weight on his car, by the way, so gets pole position, and what was a super tight qualifying at the top has stretched out just a little bit, but still very, very close at the top, and I'm sure Grantas Karetska will want to take that P1 back pretty quickly. The run down into turn 1, their best opportunity to do so. But a few more places on this track where you can try and make a move. It's quite a difficult one to make moves, but we'll see if the drivers manage to find the time needed and the space needed as well, as we get ready to go. Just about a minute away from our hour-long race here at Zandvoort. There's Simon Speth in the Ferrari. The top 3 cars all different: Ferrari, Lexus, and BMW. Then we see a lot more of the Ferraris and BMWs further down the field.
Yep, 20 seconds. The drivers focus a bit and they will get going. Second round, a different track, but all in all, a bit already familiar with how the races pan out. They will try to succeed in the second one.
And we're away for round 2 of the GT3, the Ringfreaks GT3 Premium Series. Speth gets into the lead and holds the lead down into turn 1. A little bit of contact from behind into the back of Karetska as Yetzi follows him through, so the top 3 remains unchanged. Then it's Kobosnitsa getting up in front of Baumann as they have contact into the hairpin in, and Kobosnitsa off the road, and what was a great start hampered by that contact. Now it's Baumann, Tomola, Jibgashvili, the top 3 in Pro-Am, but now it just leads Am, and he's got a good gap ahead of Bolson behind, and here's the battle for the lead. Karetska's making a little bit of a mistake jumping that curb, and that's going to give Yetzi the opportunity to go down the inside. A little bit of contact, and I think Yetzi's just about done it, unless Karetska can do something here into the left-hander. Yetzi left the door open, and they're going to still continue to go side by side into the chicane, but looks like Yetzi's just about got that position, and Baumann even thinking of a move on Karetska. So a difficult start for Grantas. He got hit up into the rear down into turn 1. Now down into P3. He'll try to come back at Yetzi down the straightaway. The Lexus very quick down the straight normally. Let's see if that materializes here today in the slipstream, and this should be possible to do it. He thinks of the inside now, chooses the outside. He can use the banking to help him, but a little bit wide from Yetzi, and Karatsas is going to try and do the cut back here into the right-hander. He's going to be on the inside. He's going to be on the preferred line on the outside in the hairpin, but I think Yetzi's actually held on to it, and now is the chance for a Baumann to get through the Pro-Am car. So he's not fighting for position here, but fighting for honor side by side through the flat-out S's and into the right-hander. Karatskas just about holds on, and Yetzi hasn't been able to run away from this battle leader. So it's still a big fight for B2. Good news for Speff. He's 1.7 up the road from these guys now already. Tomala in that battle as well, looking for an opportunity for position on Baumann. So it's Pro-Am. Your top 6, 7th. Mendelis P3 last time out, only able to run 7th here, and I'm sure he'll struggle to get past. A little bit wide again from Karatskas. Oh, very wide from a couple of cars, actually. Maybe opportunities once again. And a very intense first 2 laps of this race. Can Tomala now do something? He's pretty close on the back of Baumann, using that slipstream. Fastest lap of the race by Speff. Can Tomala do something here? Goes down the inside. Baumann doesn't defend because he didn't need to. Holds on to P4, and this gives a little bit of breathing room to the 2 up in front. Big gain from Speff, but obviously the front 2 were fighting. Tomala very low in the banking. Not sure that's the way he wants to go. Maybe try to put Baumann a little bit off script there. Here's Mendelis in the Lexus.
Yep, so he's running 7th, but he's actually 4th in the Pro Plus class. There are no additional points for finishing in top 10 places whatsoever, so no matter what position in the overall standings the drivers are taking, they are classified in their individual classes. But that's not the best news for Mendelis. He didn't find pace during the qualifying session. He will try to do something here in this race, but well, to gain some places, he first needs to clear 3 lower tier category cars out of his way, but that was Balavichus running into the back end of Matas Mendelis. Not sure what happened there. Either Mendelis braked earlier or Balavichus braked too late, and there goes your M class leader. I think Balavichus was leading the class. Yep, Balavichus was in the lead.
Yep. And unsafe rejoin as well to top it off. Not sure the stewards will look kindly onto that one, as Tomala is still on the back of Baumann. Another fastest lap of the race by Speff, very wide from the Shitskuts there. Yes, battling for 10th, and that's where Mendelis needs to be looking in terms of position. Tomala very low again in the banking. I'm not sure why.
The drivers had some practice time, so maybe they found their more preferred line for themselves around the banked corners. Well, the Formula 1 drivers definitely take the higher line. There's much more grip up on the upper part of the racetrack. You cannot go fast while taking the lower part of that corner.
Everybody takes the high line, GT3 as well, so it's very strange to see the low line working at all. It's a progressive banking, so the higher up you go, the more banking you have, and that low line is pretty much flat. Strange to see.
Oh, someone clipped the gravel. That's Balavichus and Sheralis. Battle for P2 in the M class. They are currently 11th and 12th. Wow, Yetzi sets the fastest lap time now. So I think he kind of waited it out and will try to gain on Simon Speth at least something here in this race. You can see the comparison. Maybe Speth made a mistake because he was half of a second slower than Yetzi. And what about Karetskas? Karetskas is also slightly slower than Yetzi, so the fastest car on the racetrack at this given moment is this standard colored BMW M4 GT3 car driven by Simone Yetzi, trying to chase down Simon Speth, and look at the gap, it's melting down. So maybe the Ferrari is not so good on tires, even though we are only 7.5 minutes into the second round, but Yetzi is dropping pace at this stage, and that's clearly noticeable. And now all the three cars that were very close to each other in the qualifying session beginning to get a little bit closer to each other once again. Baumann already 2 seconds behind Karetskas. Tomola still in some sort of a battle for fourth place overall, first place in the Pro-Am class. Nice, we have Pro Plus in the top 3 spots, and we have Pro-Am 4 cars behind each other, battling for podium places. So that should...
Tomola needs to start looking behind really here, because he looked to be more under pressure soon from Chukashvili. I think he took the low line again, just seeing the delta as it went down in the middle of the corner, but then he loses about 0.3 of a second coming out of it, even 4 maybe, as they run all the way to Shivlak at the top of the hill there. So needs to adjust his lines if he wants to do anything about Baumann, because it looks like he has decent pace everywhere else around the track, just losing time in the hairpin. And here's Karetskas still trying to hunt down the 2 cars in front. Obviously, we don't know the strategies of each of these drivers. We'll start seeing something in about 20 minutes time. If we see cars peel into the pit lane, we'll know, pretty much know, that they'll be doing a tire change. Tomola again catching up throughout the mid part of the track, and looks like he had possibly a better exit. He's trying to stay behind Baumann. We'll see what happens with Tomola next. Again, look at how close he gets into that braking zone. Let's see what happens once he gets to this hairpin. Once again, he tries the low line, super low line, and once again, he's got no chance on the exit. I'm not sure why he's not adjusting his driving style through there. Again, huge time loss, and huge time loss all the way to the fast right at Shivlak.
Well, he's running so close to Baumann, and well, he should definitely notice that he loses time driving this way. Not sure what the idea is behind that line, but it's definitely a slower line, and well, looking at the onboard, you definitely see him gaining a bit at the entry because he's taking a shorter distance through the corner, but he has no speed in the midsection and therefore loses on the exit. So I think he should try and change something regarding that very much banged corner.
I mean, he's running right behind Baumann, so he could just try and copy his lines. He'll see his braking point. So he'll know where he needs to brake. He doesn't have to be afraid of missing the turn. So interesting. Would be nice to see what's happening between them now. So again, closes up throughout the rest of the track. Let's see if he tries to make an improvement here into the hairpin. Nope. Once again, Cars running that same line, and once again, huge time loss on the exit. They came into the corner about 0.4 behind. Let's see where he comes out here. Obviously went a little bit wide on the exit, and about half a second lost in just that one corner. If he fixes that, he's got a very good opportunity at trying to make it an overtake. Again, the lead group closing up. Yetzi catching up to Speff. Gap under a second for the first time in a couple of laps. And Karetskas on the back of Yetzi as well, but not finding any real opportunities to overtake, at least for now.
Yeah, maybe he's just looking after his tires. The pace is quite good. The gaps are really small. Oh, and there's a big mistake by Yetzi, and I think Grantas Karetskas will have a very nice chance now running down the straight into turn 1. Yetzi goes straight away defensive, but still Karetskas has a way better speed down into turn 1. Both drivers brake so late, a little bit of a contact side by side on the exit. Grantas Karetskas holds the inside for the next corner, but then the next one turns into a right-hander, still side by side, going on to the banking. And Grantas Karetskas shuts the door, and that's a cost of a small mistake for Simone Yetzi. They were so close to each other, and that was more than enough for Grantas Karetskas to take that spot away from Yetzi, and I think it pays off. You just stay calm and relaxed, be as close as possible to your rival, and the positions will come at you. And now it's gonna be Karetskas behind Simon Speth. I wonder if that's gonna influence anyhow the driving of Simon Speth. We've seen him being very stable on pace, sometimes losing a little bit of time. Yetzi again wide on the exit, loses even more time. As we look at the comparison of lap times, Grantas Karetskas was and is closing in. He definitely lost a bit of time with that overtake of Yetzi, but the track is clear in front of him right now. That's gonna be a chase down for the lead. Karetskas won the previous round, didn't won the qualifying session this time. Speth was slightly faster, but looking at race pace and, well, as far as we know, Grantas Karetskas, he should be definitely very focused on his task here this afternoon. Trying to
see what strategy options as well these guys pull out. Here, the undercut would be very difficult to pull off. Not only are you rejoining into heavy traffic, you're also looking at cold tires on the car, so a bit of a time loss unless you've got a couple of laps to do it. That's Mendelis in front of Javakshvili. This is that's the AM leader in Javakshvili. The P4 car in Pro is Mendelis, so not really either of theirs fight. So not critical to make any moves here. For Mendelis, it's a pretty lonely race if you look at his category. Maybe a bit more action if you look at an overall result for him. P3 last time out, remember? Well, it would be a P4 finish on the record books, which isn't, well, it is a demotion from P3, but wouldn't look as bad as if you would look at the whole grid, where you see him down in P8 and, well, behind Pro-Am cars, behind 4 Pro-Am cars at the moment. See if he can get further up. For the leaders, it's all about who's the first to blink. Considering the cold tires when coming out of the pits, if indeed drivers are picking the strategy to do tires, you're more looking at who's going to be the first to pit, and you kind of want to be the last to pit. Another tight line here from Javakshvili. Actually, I would say even a tight line for Mendelis. considering how up onto the banking a lot of the cars go. Traffic? Possibly soon. Cars in P25 and P24 are separated by, well, looking at the track map, I'd say about 25 to 30 seconds, maybe even less. So closing in is your race leader, and that whole leading group, the top 6 quite close together. Then you see a big gap down to 7th, and then let's say up to 12th is another group-ish, 13th to 18th another group, and then scattered around cars. So nice few groups of battling cars. This is Balavi, just remember issues early on, but he's running quicker, right? Yep, I think so. He's running quicker than Javakshvili up in front.
Especially on the 9th lap, he gained 1.1 seconds. Now he's constantly 3 or 4 tenths faster. 1.4 seconds separate the first and the second place in the M class. Balevicius was in the lead, made a mistake, hit the back end of Matas Mendelis. Now he's trying to recover into the lead of the class. Javakishvili looked to be stuck behind Mendelis at one point. Mendelis seems to be running away now at this stage, so you could say Javakishvili has a clear track in front of him. He'll try to do something about Balevicius and try to fend off his ways into getting into the lead. Yeah, but still has that Lexus in front of him, so not a completely clear track, and Mendelis making some mistakes at some parts of the track, sometimes gaining, sometimes losing time. As Grantas Kretkas continues his run on Simon's path.
I'm surprised that Yetzi has really dropped off this pack. He was doing well in between them, and he was actually gaining time on Speth. He's absolutely nowhere now, really dropped off the pace.
Tires, aggressive setup. We've seen the car become very loose.
It almost felt like he made those mistakes and just got destroyed mentally. Doesn't look like the car is too aggressive to drive, but difficult to tell from the onboard, obviously. But yeah, lost a lot of time and started losing that time extremely quickly. Essentially, as soon as he got overtaken, he's never been back. So we'll see if he can find his pace again. Would be nice to have him back in that battle for the lead. Here's Javakshvili, and he's been absolutely on the tail of Mendelis, and once again right on the back of him. He's got Balevicius behind him, but I think Javakshvili has just picked up the pace a little bit. But his issue now is he's got a pro car in front of him that he's running quicker. But small mistakes like that, this is a bit more time, will push Balevicius closer. If Javakshvili can get in front here, he's got a buffer to Balevicius behind, and an important buffer at that. I'm expecting Mendelis to go with just a splash of fuel.
Yep, well, looking at that pace,
he's going for a tire change. This would be very, very concerning.
Why are those Ferraris taking that low line? Did the drivers find something better running low?
It doesn't look better. I mean, they're all losing time. And Mendelis is actually running quite low as well. He's running at about the midpoint of the track. You really want to get closer to that wall. So even with a worse line, Mendeles is still gaining time at that part of the track. And again, Balav, just look at how much he's gained. I really don't get this line, and I don't get why none of the drivers are seeing how much time they're losing and doing something different. I'd be interested to see what Tomala is doing. Is he still running that low line?
Let us be the detectives, inspectors of the racing line.
Well, hopefully they'll think of something, because
a bit on the exit.
Well, it's a easy flat turn, so maybe just getting closer to the wall. Let's see, so the gap at about 0.6 as they enter this section. And nope. And the car behind doing the same as well. So gap was at 0.6. Look at it. It's just increasing. See it gain all the way down this straightaway. I'm not sure why drivers aren't changing anything here. Very confusing to look at, that's for sure. I wouldn't say it's a Ferrari thing, because Speff in the lead of the race is in a Ferrari and he's driving the proper highline. So if he's doing it as the leader of the race, I'm sure everybody else can as well. Leader of the race, but not the fastest car on track. Let's see what happens this time round. Is Kanatskas quicker? He is by just about 0.2 of a second as they enter 35 minutes to go. And again, quite a middle of the track line from Speff ahead. Kanatskas going high.
Maybe there's more grip just on this version of the racetrack. I don't know. Definitely Goretzka's taking that wide preferred line, but a lot of other cars are taking it a little bit narrower. Maybe there's something behind it.
We've got traffic.
Yep.
Traffic incoming. That's actually a car was in P21, I guess, when it crossed the line last time. It should update once they cross the line again, because there's P25, 24, and 23 further up ahead. This car, I'm guessing, has made a pit stop. Yep. Looking at the lap. Nope, maybe not. But slow, very slow last time round. Here comes Speff. Flash of the lights.
And that's not going to help.
Doesn't move. Won't help him at all, as Karatskas now can smell blood, can see the opportunity up in front. Let's see when the McLaren will move. It does move down the straightaway, and actually Speff gained time as the McLaren moves in behind, but tries to go back down the inside. Not really sure if this is the strategy he wants to use here.
Goretzka's gonna lose quite a lot of precious time here behind the traffic, and a bit of a contact, so
a little bit of a shove away. I don't mind that. I think the McLaren was maybe just a little bit too aggressive in traffic, especially considering the speed differential. Sitnikovas in the McLaren 37.9, 33.6 from the race leader. So when you're running about 4 seconds a lap slower, it's probably a good idea to move out the way.
Yep, just give some space, and here is a nice battle between 3 Pro-M cars for the lead of this race. Baumann still holds on to the lead, but those 2 low-line Ferraris of the third corner are quite close on the tail of the BMW Jibgashvili. Was there a small contact between Tomala and Jibgashvili?
No, I think he just went wide.
Okay.
But unless he ran into the back of him. But anyway, Jibgashvili was behind. He never was even close to being side by side there, so maybe just a mistake. It's easy to make a mistake throughout Sector 2, all the way around Sector 2. because the corners are an interesting shape, let's say, and the outside is always pulling you out, and you're always wanting to get on power earlier because it always feels too slow. And once you try and do it quicker, then you're off the track. Tomola to the inside, now down into turn 1, but much better on the brakes is Baumann, and he keeps the lead in Pro-Am. Really, it looks like he's not even feeling the pressure. And here are the two Ferraris. Let's see what they do. And again, that's not going to work to make a move. Really, I think if Djibrgashvili can have a good run, if he tried that outside line, he might be able to actually make that overtake around the outside.
Yeah, I think they need some race engineers here to help them out a little bit, giving some sort of an advice. Looking from the outside sometimes is much easier to identify some sort of solutions as we head over.
You've got a car in front of you doing that line. You don't really think he's just missed the apex for the last half an hour of the race. And missed the apex by quite a lot if you think the apex is down at the bottom there.
Yeah.
So you have to make some conclusions out of that. This is the battle for the lead in AM. And Djibrgashvili definitely under pressure from Balavicius behind.
And Djibrgashvili just got the second spot from Tomola, so Tomola had to make a mistake somewhere on the racetrack because the positions have swapped.
Yeah, he lost quite a bit of time, so I'm guessing, yeah, probably a mistake. But Balavicius now an opportunity for him to take back the lead in AM. He's been looking much quicker. And this is more of a when and not if. Goes to the outside, down into turn 1. This is for the lead in AM, and they'll go in side by side. That outside line works here a little bit as well to just hold on. But now he's going to pressure him to a tight line. Now Balavicius is going to go to the outside. He's one that's been taking that outside line. Let's see if this works. And no. Didn't work fully. If he was just that tiny bit closer, he would have probably been side by side out of the corner, and then Djibrgashvili would have to have lifted, and then he would have lost so much time. So still an opportunity here for Balavicius to get in front. Also questions about strategy for these guys as well.
I was wanting to come in here into this battle. Basically, the pit window is open now for the drivers who are planning to change the tires and add fuel. So 30 minutes left on the clock, meaning that we might see some of the drivers heading into the pit lane. And if we have drivers with the strategy to change tires, they should be starting to pit now. And that's Simon Speth. He went into the pit lane and he disappeared. Did we lose Simon Speth? He's now 19th, 20th. A lot of other cars are in the pit lane, but how on earth could Speth lose so many places here with entering the pits? We've lost a lot of cars actually. Okay, so let's focus on the race and see what the outcome is. Speth 18th, maybe that's something to do with the track, I'm not sure, but definitely he shouldn't have fallen down to P18. Milashauskas drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That's Balavicius and Djibrgashvili battling for P1 in the M class, as basically we hold our breaths and look at what's happening in the pit lane. We don't have Yetzi, with Mendel is still on the racetrack, up to P5.
Yep, we're seeing cars, they're just disappearing. Karatskas into the pits. So is he gonna disappear as well?
Yep. See, he's well in the pit lane, but already dropping quite a lot of places here. Another car, I think that's Balevich. No, Baumann. That was Baumann into the pit lane, also dropping lots of places. Mendel is heading into the pit lane. So I think if every driver will head into the pit lane, everything should sort out.
Well, I guess a lap isn't being counted somehow. Now, my question is, what's the penalty for not pitting?
I mean, you have to pit. There is a rule for you.
Yes, but if you break the rule, what is the penalty?
We didn't have a situation like this, I believe. Let's... Oh, we should ask race control if there is.
Well, for sure there is a penalty, because I remember somebody not doing it once. The question is what that penalty is. Because now, if you've got enough fuel to go to the end, if the penalty is less than a lap...
I don't think it's gonna be less than 1 lap, especially if there is an issue with the pit stop on this racetrack. I mean, with the pit lane, there should be an appropriate penalty handed to the driver who might think of an idea like this. Most of the drivers head over into the pit lane, where Šickas stays on the racetrack as the leader of this race. Now, a penalty situation, if we have that issue with the pit lane, what happens when you get a drive-through penalty? That's gonna cost you quite a lot of positions also. So Milašauskas was the driver who took the penalty. He's now dead last on the grid. He was 24th. Yep. Okay, but let's go back onto the racetrack, and we have that. We still have the position change in the Pro Plus class. Kareckas got back onto the racetrack, and he's 6/10 in front of Simon Speth now. Sitnikovas is up to 4th. Remember, he was being lapped, so the drivers definitely lose 1 lap when they enter the pit lane. Sitnikovas up to 4th. Markaitis up to 3rd. Nikkonen up to 2nd. So there's definitely an issue with the pit lane. If every driver goes into the pit lane, that's basically equals out. Everyone is okay. But if we'll have a car which will get the idea to avoid the pit stop, I think there's going to be penalties applied.
Well, race control said it's a DQ, so it's not worth it to not go into the pits.
You can try, but there's not going to be a better outcome. So you should pit. Yep, Sitnikovas heads over into the pit lane. That moves Kareckas and Speth into P1. Kareckas sets the fastest lap time of the race. And he was only 0.04 of a second faster than Simon Speth on the previous lap time. A nice battle. Positions have swapped. Simon Speth loses the traction on the exit of turn number 3. And loses a lot of time. So, yeah, you need at least some traction on the exit of turn 3.
Trying to look at the drivers that have received a drive-through, and
that was Milašauskas and Diaz.
Yeah, they are an extra lap down.
Oh, so a drive-through penalty means 1 lap down.
Yeah, it's pretty much a lap penalty. A lap plus the drive-through time as well, because you're slowing down for the drive-through. what I mean, if you get a drive-through at the very end of the race, then it definitely doesn't make any sense to do the drive-through. If you make it to the end in that free lap time, where you can finish the race with a penalty, so it's definitely then better to finish with a penalty. Yetzi is somehow almost 8 seconds back, so huge difference.
Well, he was dropping behind even before the pit stops, but it was about 3 or 4 seconds.
Well, he's found the pace again, but maybe he's still making mistakes. Remember we were saying that probably Mendelis is running to the end with a splash of fuel. Considering that he's pitted in the middle of the race here, I'm really concerned about his pace then, if that was him running new tires.
Yep, he was definitely running new tires. He's battling with P25, I believe. That's F Des. And he's 4.3 seconds behind Jibgashvili now. It was Javakishvili who was right behind Matas Mendelis. So Javakishvili is 7.8 seconds behind now. So a bit of a different gaps after the pit stops.
The fastest lap of the race. New tires, a bit of a lower fuel load. Clear track in front, and I would have said race leader. He's not the race leader. He's in P4, and if you just joined us and you're seeing Grantas Kranskas about a lap down from the lead, it's not on pace. It's just because of the way how the pit lane is treated here, and the drivers are losing a lap every time they come into the pits. But a single pit stop is mandatory anyway, so even that front three will still lose that lap anyway. So we'll be back to normal once everybody pits. That's somebody letting everybody else through. One of the other Lexuses.
Milashauskas. It was Milashauskas.
Lexuses.
Oh, Markaitis drive through for speeding, and he was running third.
That's not great news for him. Because he'll have to do that drive-through. He'll lose a lap. Vershitskas into the pits, so that's gonna drop him a lap behind. Grantas Kranskas, another fastest lap of the race. It's now gonna be Nikkanen at the top of the standings, but still waiting for a pit stop from him. See if he decides to go in now or if he'll keep waiting. I'm guessing he'll run to the very end of the race.
Yep, so saving tires. Now, as a race leader, he ran into traffic. It's Matas Mendelis actually. So Matas Mendelis runs 9th, and he is now being caught by 1 lap by the current race leader. Mendelis should be faster actually at this stage of the race, is he? Oh yeah, so maybe Mendelis just overtook the race leader. The current race leader, which we both have in an unusual situation regarding the racetrack and the way it handles the pit stops. Okay, so Vershitskas made a pit stop. If the time tower is not making mistakes, Mendelis is quite a huge time behind Bershitskas now.
No, it keeps going down in big chunks as well, so I think something is wrong with the timing screen here. Let's just wait until they all get through. Markaitis drive-through taken. And he'll be in big trouble.
Yep, down to 3 seconds, so normal gap as it was before the pit stops. Something similar, I believe. Oh, and actually, Balevicius is now in front of Javakishvili. The battle is still on. Balevicius runs wide and
still side by side. Yep, this one's been going on for a while, but now Balevicius. Oh, contact! And well, he's been in contact before. This was the issue with Javakishvili running that low line. He saw the other cars go up on the high line. He went on the throttle early to try and go down to that inside because I guess he was expecting Balevicius to go tight around the hairpin. He didn't. He was slowing down to go higher, and that's where that contact happened because it happened on the exit. It looked like Javakishvili just went full power, full beans, and right into the back of Balevicius. So not only is it position lost,
I wonder if Javakishvili I wonder if he has some damage. He had that big contact with the barrier. Well, it was it's barrier made of tires, but still the angle of the impact was quite heavy. I don't see him. No damage obvious actually on the race car. We usually have shattered windshields and bent suspension, but I think his wheel is pretty much straight. So did he run away with a contact like this and avoided damage? Looking at the car, it looks normal. If a driver gets damaged, he should still stay out on the racetrack because even if you're 2 seconds per lap slower, that's less of a loss than one going into the pit lane trying to fix that damage. So Balevicius stays in the lead of the M class. Javakishvili stays second. Now there's Dauptartas in between them, and Javakishvili is roughly 4.5 seconds behind the lead. Another battle on the racetrack, Pro-M category, battle for the final step on the podium. That's Vershitskas against Jibgashvili. Half of a second separate these two drivers. Karetskas, by the way, safely and comfortably now leading this race. 2 seconds separate him and Simon Speth. Yetzi is seen nowhere. I wonder where the pace of Yetzi has been going to. It was 7 seconds after the pit stop. It's now basically 12 seconds between Yetzi and Speth. Even more between him and Karetskas. So the fast.
I mean, he's lost a lot of time. Well, maybe he's tight on track limits. I guess some of the drivers are realizing that if you get a track limit penalty, you're in deep trouble. So that's Jibgashvili going on that super low line. Look at how much better this exit will be, even if Vershitskas is not using up all of the track. But look at him closing in quickly once again. Tomola and Jibgashvili have lost a lot of time to Baumann, and they've lost a lot of time to each other as well. Now looking in terms of the AM positions, Javakishvili is still second, so it doesn't need to worry too much. Obviously, he lost that position to Balevicius. Riding on board, it's a Ferrari v Ferrari battle, and actually the top 4 in the Pro, except for P1 and Pro-Am, the other 3 cars in that top 4 are all Ferraris, so equal machinery. different setups, obviously, and different driving styles and preferences by the drivers, but at least it's the same car. I'm getting very distracted by these light panels because they're always flashing green, and I always think there's a yellow section behind them. And again, tight line from Jibgashvili, and again, Bershidskas closes up. He actually loses time throughout most of the lap, but he closes back up at the hairpin there, wide at Shivlak, at least on entry from Jibgashvili up in front. And this is your battle for the final spot on the podium in Pro-Am.
Yep, it's definitely interesting why the gaps between Baumann, Tomala and Jibgashvili became so huge. They were the three leaders who were running quite close to each other before the pit stops. Pace seemed to be similar. Now Jibgashvili is focused on his rear view mirror because Bershidskas is thinking of something. 12 minutes till the end of the race. Bershidskas, well, definitely nice spot of the pace difference by Gustas. Bershidskas seems to be losing time around the lap, except for that third corner, where he's taking that higher line, the preferred line, around that turn. Look, 7/10 now between Jibgashvili and Bershidskas. Let's see the outcome after the drivers exit the third corner. Jibgashvili went narrow. Bershidskas is also not too wide around that corner, basically taking the mid of the racetrack. Lost a bit of time here actually this time by, but was not that wide enough, and he's gaining down the straight. So, well, maybe he didn't take that corner ideally. Still didn't lose too much time there, so looks like the low line is not the fastest one, but it seems to be working for some of the drivers, especially the ones who are driving Ferrari cars here in this event. Not sure if that has something to do with the brand that the driver is driving. But somehow it is the preferred line by some of the drivers this afternoon. Jibgashvili focused and looking ahead of him, doing a decent job now.
Catching up to Tomala just a little bit. They can bring that gap down. Might be a battle for P2 in class as well. Maybe Baumann has gone away and really no chance to catch up to him from Tomala or Jibgashvili behind. And Speff, well, he's been quick in the first stint, and really Karatskas had no opportunity to overtake. He got close, but couldn't take that position. Got it done for after staying out a couple of laps longer, and now has been able to run away with a pretty comfortable gap at 2.5 seconds. And, well, Yetzi, who was catching up to Speff, and he was getting very, very close, almost within reach of trying an overtake, made a couple of mistakes and has been absolutely nowhere from then. You could say damage, but we didn't see him hitting anything.
And he's basically 1 second slower every lap, so definitely lacks pace. And he had the fastest lap time at the beginning of this race. Doesn't seem to have the pace anymore. Yep, that's the confirmation. Well, he was pretty close at lap 29, was only 0.3 slower than Simon Speff. Lap 30 he lost more than 1 second, and well, keeps losing out with every lap, so basically that's his race scenario. He finished second in the first round. He's looking at a P3 finish in this second round. Still a pretty decent result. Looking at the pace of Mendelis, who finished third in the opening round, he's fourth, but he's definitely nowhere in this race. No pace whatsoever, so he's just sitting tight between the lower classified classes. And
doesn't have an opportunity to move up, doesn't have an opportunity to move down either, and it's been a very lonely race for him. Didn't find the pace at any point, really. Hasn't been there, wasn't there in qualifying, and hasn't been there for the rest of the race either. You could say it's the weight, but it's 10 kilos less than the race leader, whose fastest lap of the race, 33.0, and the 34.1. 1.1 seconds slower, and slower than all of the top 4 in Pro-Am. So actually slower than Balavic as well, if you just look at the fastest lap of the race. So slower than the AM leader as well. At least on fastest lap pace. Maybe not on race pace, but still a difficult afternoon for him today. And I think he'll be hoping to bounce back in 2 weeks' time. We'll be at Monza. Well, that was... Did he miss the corner? Because he cut the grass on entry. We've seen drivers go tight at the banking. I've not seen a driver cut the grass at the banking. It's a new line. Here's Jofert. Goes up to 18th, gets past Ezikev. Is that one of the cars that has served the penalty? It's not. No. It's just running very far down. Now I'm trying to remember what happened to Jofert. Did something happen to Jofert?
Well,
he started in 12th.
Definitely has something should have happened to Jofert. Lap 32, he lost 1.7 seconds to Azikiev, so maybe not happy with the car, maybe mistakes here and there. But lost places definitely.
Yep, started in 12th, so clearly lost places somewhere, somehow. But 12 in qualifying wasn't, I guess, the result he wanted either. I believe he was one of the ones that had issues last time with that big incident at the start of the race. Speff was one of those, and he's done well today. P2 at the moment.
Yep, these two, Vershitskas and Jibgashvili, definitely gaining on Tomala. It's less than 5 minutes on the clock, but the gap is now down to 1.5 seconds between Jibgashvili and Tomala. It was more than 3 seconds like 6 minutes ago, so well, here's the pace difference. Tomala loses 4/10 regularly per lap. Sometimes he loses 8/10 per one lap, so if Jibgashvili will continue the pace of gaining on Tomala by 8/10 per lap, he'll, well, might be looking at a very small chance here in this race. It was 4.5 tenths now this time they crossed the line, so he needs to keep putting that pressure on the shoulders of Tomala. This is the battle for P2 in the Pro-Am class, and you want those 3 extra points definitely. Still taking that low line, a bit of an improvised line now by Jibgashvili. It took a tight entry, went a little bit wider on the mid of the corner and, well, drove down to the exit. Still interesting to see drivers not changing the line, not trying something, but I think they took their practice sessions. Well, everyone knows the third corner of the Zandvoort circuit and that it needs to be handled wide, but maybe it's not working for some of the drivers. Not sure what the reason might be there to not work, because we see Karetskas taking that wide line and it works perfectly fine for him.
Just different decisions made, and clearly not the best ones. Now Tomola is losing a lot of time, and actually so has Baumann. Bauman's been losing time as well. It's not. Maybe these two didn't change tires? But I would guess they'd be losing more time than that. Maybe not. Maybe tire were not that big of an issue. Maybe Baumann is just managing pace, but Tomola definitely in trouble. He's being hunted down by these two behind. With just 2 minutes to go, this could be an opportunity battle for P2. In the Pro-Am class, the last real battle we've got for a podium position here in this race in any category, I believe. As Tomola under big pressure, a race leader coming into the final turn. The question is, will he make it in time across the line? Nope. So it will be final lap as he'll cross the line now. One more to go. As that's lapped traffic, Vershitskas on the flasher, asking the Ferrari to get out of the way, and holds him up just a little bit.
Yeah, but still, that's Jonas. He found the blinker, actually. He indicated that he's going left and let Vershitskas through. So Vershitskas lost a bit of time here, but not too much. Nicely handled by Jonas in this situation. Tomola goes defensive already, running down the straight, tries to break up the slipstream.
It's more about breaking the draft than going defensive. It's still a pretty big gap. Just important to not make any silly mistakes here. Vershitskas closing in on all of them as well. They all, well, these two go tight. Vershitskas goes towards the middle of the track, not using up the full width of it either. But Tomola under pressure. Djupgashvili under pressure as well. It's just an opportunity for Vershitskas if he can find a way through somewhere, but maybe they'll not even get close enough. A little bit wide from Tomola there. Doesn't lose too much time, doesn't lose any time really. As the race leader out of the final turn, and it's 2-2. Grantas Karetskas wins once again, and he'll be ahead of Simon Speff and Yetzi in P3. But back to this battle for Pro-Am P2 honors, and I think Tomola is going to hold on. He's got a bit of traffic in front, but that shouldn't play a part here. And, well, these guys behind will have been hoping for maybe 1 or 2 more laps, but that didn't happen. It's a win in Pro-Am for Baumann, then it's going to be Tomola, Djupgashvili, and Vershitskas in P4. While Am honors are going to go to Balavicius. He's going to take P1 in Am. Just wait for everybody to cross the line and get the results back in.
Suddenly became so quiet on the racetrack.
Up everybody back in to the pits. Let's just wait for everybody to cross the line and we'll have our final results confirmed. provisional results anyway, as we'll still wait for any race control decisions.
Well, the tower shows very interesting final. Yep, those positions are not what they are in reality. Maybe some of the drivers have disconnected, so let's switch to our results screen. If you are unable to read the names and the positions on your screens, you can go to the WorldSimSeries.com website, find the Ringfreaks GT3 Premium Championship. The results are live on the website. Gustas maybe will have the opportunity to run through the top 10 standings, or maybe the top 3 finishers in each class.
So Pro Plus, it's Kanatska, Spef, and Yetzi. Your top 3 then. Bauman, Tomola, Jibgashvili take Pro Am top 3 honors, and 4th, 5th, and 6th overall. And the winner in Am, but I would just P9 overall, and then Sheralis and Rybatsky in 12th and 13th in Am.
What happened to Javakishvili?
Yep, I'm also looking at that, and he's actually, well, he's a lap down because of where he was on the track in relation to the race leader. Could that be out of fuel? Did he really miscalculate the fuel? Because his last lap was a 1:43.1. That's 10 seconds down from race leading pace. And he finished at 60 minutes 7 seconds. So he finished right with the race leader, who finished at 60 minutes and 5 seconds. He let the leader go right before the line, that's for sure. I'm guessing out of fuel. That could be his issue.
He was
he's
once
actually 2 laps down from. Well, he's 2 laps. He would have been still a lap down, so I'm not sure what happened there, because there's no penalty for him. Difficult to say.
Yep, well, if something, the crew will try to figure this out. Javakishvili was leading the race and in the M class once. He's now 11th, and it's a mystery of what happened to him. Anyways, this race is over. And in 2 weeks' time, we'll be heading over to Monza, as Gustas has already mentioned that. More racing action. I hope there will be no issues with the pit lane. But that's it for tonight. Remember, there's still a very nice challenge happening on the WorldSimSeries platform, which you can be a part of. The Lithuanian Motorsport Park challenge race. It's now the pre-qualifying round. A lot of drivers have already participated in it. Phenomenal prizes. The winner of the race that will take place at, I believe, 23rd of November will be rewarded with a ride of an actual F1 car. So if you're interested of driving a Formula 1 car, just head over to WorldSimSeries. Check out the new upcoming Lithuanian racetrack, which saw the live on the virtual environment first, and it's gonna see the light on the real ground in Lithuania in a couple of years, I believe. So take your chance and try to win the fabulous prizes. That's it for tonight. Let's head over for some sleep, and I believe the next time we'll hear you, it's gonna be in 2 weeks' time at the circuit of Monza.